Hello and welcome back to Floor Planner. My name is Bob and I am here for customer success. I am here for you all to share some new information, to take a peek at the new features that came out for the month of August. Let's go ahead and show you where all those new features are listed so you can find those for yourself. I'm logged into my Floor Planner account on my platform. So when you log into yours, you want to go to your profile in the upper left-hand corner, this 4 square block up here. Left click on that. And when you're at your profile on the right-hand side, you have your right-hand sidebar. And inside that right-hand sidebar, one of those entities right in there is called New Features. The most current new feature that's been uploaded to your platform actually is the top listed. If you'd like to see all of the features that have been updated over the previous months, go ahead and hit the More button in the upper right-hand corner of the New Features tab. And then you're going to go ahead and get yourself an entire list that you can take a look, peruse backwards in time, and see different updates that have been posted for you. We left off with our last recording here with the easier selecting in 3D, which is totally cool. We've got some really neat new features that came out and got uploaded to your platform in the month of August. So here we go. There are 3 of them. So we're going to be talking about splitting sloped surface edges. We know that we can build ceilings in an automated sort of way within Floor Planner that are all being driven by your ceiling heights. Your wall heights are driving your ceiling heights. They work synonymous with each other. But there's sometimes when you have to do a custom sloped ceiling, your cathedral ceilings, etc. And you've seen in my training that we've talked about using surfaces to actually turn off your ceiling that's automated within your room volume and go ahead and create a surface material and actually edit the endpoints so that it actually tilts for you. Well, that's been great, but some people have been working a little bit more advanced and started looking at how do we put an opening inside that, maybe for skylights, etc. And this new splitting slope surface edges feature that's come available is a great new tool. We'll take a peek at that in a moment. And then we're going to go ahead and take a look at object variants that are now easier to find. So any of the assets that have been built, the furniture assets within Floor Planner that have the ability to just change color versus selecting different materials, they're called variants. And you can now select the item and go ahead and easily, if there is a variant available for that object, go ahead and switch it out very easily in a visual sort of way. You can see what it's going to look like. And then we're going to end talking about the improved library. The search engine for the library, the over 150,000 assets that are the Floor Planner assets that are in the library. Plus, as Floor Planner has been expanding during the past year, working with different retailers, design studios, even vendors have been coming on board with Floor Planner, and those are available to you. And I'll show you how to go ahead and seek those out. These are, again, above and beyond even the 150,000 assets that are in the general Floor Planner library. So let's go ahead and start by addressing the splitting slope surface edges. So let's go back to my platform and let's go to my projects. And I have a test project out there. So let's take a peek at this one that I've already created. Bob V today. Go out to the cloud. Okay, so taking a look at this room, I've gone ahead and done some preliminary work on this already, where I've taken what was a 10-foot high flat ceiling and already split a wall and raised this one point to make more of a cathedral ceiling. So I have 10-foot high wall heights at the corners, and at the very split inside here at the 50% mark, I raised it to 14 feet to give you that cathedral effect. So let's take a look at 3D. I'll show you what has happened. And let's go outside for a second. And you can see that, yes, we've gone ahead and made a pitch in here. But what I want to address with you is the surface command. So currently there's I thought, yeah, let's go ahead and put a skylight in there. I added the skylight in there. And of course you do know that by selecting the item in 3D, you have the ability with the settings. You have this really great tilt feature down here. That's how I was able to actually tilt this item using a plus and minus to go ahead and affect your actual tilt of that product. So I've got raised from the ground a certain height and then went ahead and tilted it. So it's ready to receive a ceiling, yet the ceiling that's in here with the automated system, if we go back inside the space, walking man inside here, there's our nice looking ceiling, our nice pitch ceiling, cathedral, and it's like, where is my, I can't see my skylight that I've created because there's not a hole in the ceiling. So to create that hole, we're gonna have to go ahead and build an artificial ceiling from a surface. So I'm gonna go into 2D. I'm gonna go ahead and select this room over here and go over to its settings on the left-hand side. And there's that automated generate ceiling tab that's activated. I'm gonna go ahead and turn that off. So now we have no ceiling in there whatsoever, and we're just looking up to blue sky. And this is how we go ahead and create a manual ceiling over top of that utilizing surfaces. So if I go ahead and go to the hammer for construction and go down to, let's go ahead and draw a surface. Draw a surface, find the first point. There is a faint snap to it. So you can see I'm snapping to the outside corner, left click. And there's my surface trying to be created. Go down to another point. There's my second point, snap. And when you see the third point, you start seeing the actual volume we're creating. I'm going to find that nice midpoint over here. Left click and finalize right there and hit escape. So I have a surface. Surfaces tend to, of course, generate themselves on ground zero first. So if I select that surface and go to its settings, you'll see that I can go ahead and raise it from the floor. I know these corner points are 10 feet, so I'm going to raise the entire surface up to an elevation of 10 feet. 10 feet, enter. And I want to go ahead and select these 2 points, 1 and 2, and raise those to be 14 feet to mirror the slope that I've already created on the walls. So let's select that point, change this out to 14 feet, and hit enter, of course. And let's select this other point over here and select it to be 14 feet, and hit enter. Okay, so I've got my sloped ceiling going on, but you can see I've already got my skylight in place, but I need to put a hole in here. I need to open up this ceiling accordingly, or I'm going to have the same condition that I can't see through and see where my skylight is. Now I can go ahead and select my surface that I've created. And you select on any point on there, you can actually go ahead and split the additional surface. So I'm going to go ahead and find that point that's very similar to where my skylight is and select a point right there. Okay, you can adjust it a little bit if it moves any. Make sure it's in the right spot. There we go. And I'm going to see that it's already got a height. It's determined the fact that, yes, I've got 14 feet up here, 10 feet at the other end, and it's identified that this is 12 feet, 8 inches from raised from floor. That's the more part of the new feature that's come available now with the surface splitting. So if I select this item again, and I'm going to go ahead and make another split over here, just put the hand right where I'm going to make my split mark, left click, and it has made that point at 11 feet, 1 5/8 inches. Okay, so if that's what I have to work with, I'm going to go ahead and take that surface, and I need to make another split point that I'm going to drag out to this other point. I'll make another split point here and go ahead and drag it out to this point to create this opening. Now I know what the heights are here and here from the raised from floor. So I'm going to use that information to adjust the heights that'll be created here. So I'm going to go ahead and add another split point right here, left click. And I'm going to add one more split point over here. These are those 2 other points that I'm going to be taking across the way on the other side of the skylight. Now, again, let's go ahead and change the height on this point before I drag it over there. If I select this point here, you can see that it was 12 feet and 8 inches. Now, if I select this point right here, I'm going to make it the same. Call this out to be 12 feet, 8 inches. So let's go ahead and change that. 8 inches, 12 feet, 8 inches. Okay, hit enter. Great. Now I can take that point, which is now selected, point, 12 feet 8 inches, and I can take that point and go ahead and drag it into position and place it right there on the corner of my skylight, which starts making my opening. Now I want to take this other point over here and make it the same height raised from floor as this point, which is 11 feet 1 5/8. 11 feet 1 5/8, 11 feet 1 5/8 inches, and hit enter. Okay, so it's the same height also. Select that again for my surface. Take that point, go ahead and drag it out into position. Let go. And let's hit save on that. Let's go out to our 3D view. Let's go outside. Take a look, and you can see that in fact we've gone ahead and created our opening. And there's the surface material. We can go back inside our space and see that we've created our skylight up above, and you can see blue sky up above. So that's your trick that you can now utilize with sloped surfaces. I think that is one step further, which is always fun, is that, of course, remember that you can always select a surface and give it additional thickness. So it's always fun to make this maybe 4 inches thick. And it's always just for giggles. Let's go ahead and look at materials, go outside materials, maybe take a Spanish tile roof and add it to it. And we'll finish this out. Roof's going the wrong direction. Go to its settings. And let's go to its material. I'm sorry, material. And let's go to its material settings and go ahead and rotate that maybe 90 degrees. Okay, what's fun about that is to go outside and realize that we've given it a material that, oops, didn't give it thickness, apologize. Pick that point again. Go back to its settings. Make sure it's 4 inches thick. And take another look at that outside. So you start giving it a better sense of realism. And again, of course, you've got your opening now that you can see inside your space. So that's one trick in there. Now, let's hit save on that for a second. And we're going to go ahead and view below this material that we placed in here. So another lesson in here is to go to 2D and go to your settings for 2D. And there's a hide all above feature inside here. Hit hide all above. It'll actually do a cut line below this surface material and below the skylight that we created, because it seems to be getting in the way when I'm going to be working on my furniture. So let's go ahead and say hide all above. And you can actually change at what point you're actually cutting through, but 9 feet is certainly going to be fine below my 10-foot area. So that it's still there. That ceiling material that we just created and such is still there, but we're actually viewing down below it. Works really great if you have some columns, beams, other items, that chandeliers that you want to get below and you don't want them to show in your plan. Let's save on that. And let's go back to our updates list. So we've talked about the splitting slope surface edges. And let's take a look at the object variants are now easier to find. So let's go back on in. Now, I already dragged an item in here that actually has variants in there. So this particular item right here, and let's left click on it. Again, not every item has variants. A lot of items from the outside retailers and design studios that are now posting inside the floor planner library have a lot of opportunities to change materials, but not all of them have just dedicated variants. Now, this particular one does, and you can see as selecting the item on the left-hand side where it says variants as an option for this particular product, I can go ahead and select the variants in the left-hand sidebar. And here are all the different options as color changes, variants of that specific piece. So right now it's in that sort of lime green yellow. And maybe I want to turn it to the orange. So if I go down here and left click on the orange, and there's the switch right here, we can go ahead and apply that and make that quick modification change to a variant. So again, if an item actually is coming with a variant selection for it, you can go ahead and make those changes directly from the left sidebar. So let's go back on that and let's take a peek at what else we're going to discuss. Um, the the improved library. Absolutely. We definitely want to take a peek at this. So this is your whole search engine for any of the assets, not just furniture assets in Floor Planner, but actually all of them. So if we go over here and go back in, and let me just take a second and refresh my page for a second. There we go. And just to mention real quickly, like we were talking about variants over here, but there are other items that are within the library from other vendors and such that do have actual material changes. So this other item over here, although it doesn't have variants to it, it does have the ability to change its materials. So like this item as an example has all these material choices that you go ahead and just select a material versus a variant and actually switch it out and change that product. So outside of that, we do our search engine, which we want to take a peek at. Now, to go to our search engine, you want to go ahead and look on your far left-hand list of icons over here on the left-hand side. And this one down here says search or browse for furniture to drag into your plan. Furniture, yes, certainly all the furniture pieces are contained in this tab. And all of the three-dimensional assets, accessories, architectural features, fireplaces, staircases, they're all also included in this area. So it's not just furniture. So we'll select this tab. This is where you open up your search engine. It does look a little different. It's changed about a week ago. So I hope you've noticed it and you've had fun doing some exploration. A lot of the features you had before are still there. It just looks a little bit different. It's actually going to be more intuitive and simpler once you dig into it a little. The search engine up here at the very top, as soon as you launch right at this point, you are looking inside the generic floor planner library of assets. So I can put in any search words like we always have up here. So I could type in just a generic sofa and you'll start seeing your list of sofas. Very nice. You have 2 rows of information like you had before. Yet now you have an expansion tab up here at the very upper right of this window that you can actually see more. So kind of like the view more button was before, now you have a broader range and you can see more items at a glance straight away. Of course, you have the ability to always, like you had before, view them in 2D or view them in 3D. Personally, like area rugs, I like to see them in 2D so I can see what they look like. Otherwise, I like to see items in 3D so I can see all the details and features of that specific item. Now, it's still this tab at the very top before we've even gone outside of our generic library within Floor Planner still works like the Boolean search engine that it is. So if you wanted to expand upon the word sofa to elaborate to maybe get this down to a more refined list of images, you can type a plus sign. So it'd be sofa plus some other variable. So it could even be a color. Or metal or glass, et cetera, depending on what you're looking for. But let's just go for sofa and change the color and say we're going to be looking for white sofa. So sofa plus white as a variable. And all of a sudden you start getting white sofas. So again, the Boolean search engine capacity of this top row up here, this entry level up here, still works and functions as it had before. Now, if I go back in here and maybe change that out to a search for generic for sofa, as we have up there now, you'll notice that at the very bottom, you have filter by color, which is available to you now. So I could go ahead and start selecting color ranges with these tabs. Instead of typing a word at the top, maybe go back to my white selection that I had before and to get back to your white sofas. So for color palettes, certainly going to be helpful, and this will work for all items as you're doing your search up here also. But there's also, like I said, you can go ahead and search for other items in there, maybe fireplaces. Again, because it's not just all about furniture inside here. Now, inside here, let's stop a search word up here for right now. You also have these sub-classifications that you can, and we're still looking at the generic list within Floor Planner, there's 150,000 plus assets. You can start looking at subcategories in here as they were classified before, and we can go into living room furniture, and then even start, we still have white selected down here. So we can go into armchairs, chaise lounges, and different categories, again, within the generic listing. Now, let's take a second and go ahead and consider looking in maybe a classification otherwise. So we could be looking, let's take a look for sofa again. Looking inside sofa, these are the generic lists. It also tells you how many pieces, actual assets are available before you start opening up that selection as to what's available to you. And we talked about the color selection, but you can also filter by brand, be it a retailer and or the vendors that are also coming on board with us now. So if we go ahead and hit the show more for the filter by brand, you are going to see all these different distributors and vendors, different retailers that are out there around the world that are also working with Floor Planner, or then the items that have been categorized previously. So we could go in here and start looking for like design within reach, Ethan Allen product, etc. So we're looking for just sofas currently, and we go for sofa, maybe looking at Ethan Allen, and check that off. And you all of a sudden have over here your 4 columns of information, and these are now categorized as looking for sofas for Ethan Allen. So we could go ahead and actually minimize this page, take it down to 2 columns, or take it back up again. And if I go ahead and do a click away in this white space, notice that that expanded window will retract. Oh, but now I need to have it come back. I can go ahead and hover back over the space on the left-hand side, my left-hand sidebar, and it'll return to me. I would go ahead and say, well, maybe one of these particular sofas, man, there's different color ranges in here. Sofas. Okay. Let's go back into Ethan Allen for a second. There we go. We got brown sofas out there. We could go ahead and find a sofa that we like. We could left click on it and go ahead and drag and drop. And we'll rotate that around. Now we have an Ethan Allen brown sofa placed inside there. And of course, it also has different materials that are available to you within Ethan Allen. You can change those materials out and off you go. Now, again, if you wanted this list to go away, we just click away from the space. Tab is still over there on the left-hand side, but if I wanted to continue to do additional searches, I could go ahead and hover over top of it again. It'll open up the other windows. That ghosted image comes back. And maybe we're going to look in dining room furniture, take away the word sofa, and dining room chairs. Make sure we're still looking inside Ethan Allen. So we're looking at Ethan Allen's dining room chairs that are listed in there in colors of brown. So it's kind of a high bar stool down there. What about there in black? Anything? There we go. So there's counter stools. I'll go ahead and just take this particular one just for a second. Left click, drag and drop. Select the item, have the information up here on the left-hand side, and always remember that you also have the ability with many of those retailers that you can go ahead and select the visit store. So go back. Here's your search engine again. And again, for those of you that are working with pro accounts and higher, you know that you also are able to favorite these items for your future favorites list, which is up here in the upper left-hand corner. So that was a lot of information for today. Sorry, I threw a little bit of extra. I just want to make sure I had the opportunity to share a little bit more with you. Enjoy these 3 new features, especially the new search engine. I think you will have a lot of fun with this actually, and realize that you have a lot more clarity in your search engine now, working with the library of the assets that are available to you in Floor Planner. I hope you all have a great day, and I look forward to seeing you again at a future webinar and any of these recordings that we have. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.